Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne. I may say something here that may offend some people. You may get offended by this. For over 20, let's say 30, 40 years, I've been hearing the word revival. The whole Christian church, or large portions of the Christian church, want a worldwide revival. They're crying out for revival. The word revived means wake from the dead, and so Christians claiming or pursuing or desiring revival are basically admitting that the church is dead, that it needs to be revived. I've heard a lot of Christians talk about how Jesus promised in John 14 that he'd send the Holy Spirit, and Christians enabled by the Holy Spirit will do greater things than him. And Jesus, when I've heard Christians teach that and preach that and talk about the greater things, all I've ever heard from everyone preaching that is ego. All I've ever heard is ego. It's a person's ego thinking they're going to do greater things than Christ. As someone who produces a podcast and interviews someone on a Christian topic, and 20 million people view the podcast, they've done a greater thing. It's not a big thing to do greater than Jesus these days, but all I ever hear when I hear so-called revivalists and so-called people who call God Papa, all I ever hear is ego when they're talking about that verse. The other thing I hear a lot of ego about is revival. Christians seem to want a last days revival so they can, disappear in a rapture and go home. Life on earth for them is just a little bit too much. And there's commentators going on saying that Charlie Kirk's funeral was the beginning of a revival, and there's a revival breaking out. I've already done a video about this today, but I'll repeat it. When 100% of your followers don't know your teachings and don't practice your teachings, what sort of revival do you think you're going to have? I'll say it again. 100% of Christians don't understand the 54 parables of Jesus. 100%, every single one of them I speak to don't know what Jesus' parables mean. How can they actually be practicing what was taught in the parables if they don't actually understand it? 100% of Christians don't know that Jesus had 50 commandments. And if they don't know Jesus had 50 commandments, how can they be obeying them? And John says in 1 John 2:4, anyone who says they know him and doesn't obey his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Why do why do a whole bunch of liars with no truth want to populate the world with people like themselves? They don't even know what Jesus taught. I could have Jesus turn up to them in the flesh. They wouldn't even recognize him. If Christians had to recognize Jesus to go home in the rapture, none of them would go in a rapture because they don't even know him. They don't even know his spirit. They think that I'm just being angry and rebuking people here and spouting off knowledge. But I know what each of the 54 parables mean. I've got a book that explains what they mean. It's a 700-page book, and it was dictated by Jesus. And I know Jesus is close to coming back because he taught his parables and his commandments through me. So you can look up that book on the parables of Jesus made simple, explained by Jesus himself. You can look up the meanings of the parables as he explains it in a 700-page book. You can look up his commandments in a book called The Commandments of Jesus Made Simple, explained by Jesus himself. Look up what Jesus taught and start to obey him before you start praying for some revival that'll bring a whole lot more hypocrites to the world. God bless.